Live from Phoenix, Arizona, you're watching Extraordinary Lovers TV. Every week, we cover topics that transform the world and ourselves through pleasure. And now, your hosts, best-selling author and international Tantra teacher, Laurie Hammers, and creator of the Extraordinary Lovers Experience and Sex and Happiness coach, Michael Gibson.
If you can hear us, let us know.
Yes.
Okay, Daniel was like, oh, yes,
Hi,
there
Daniel.
you are. Hi,
Good.
Daniel.
So I had eye surgery yesterday, and I'm looking at you all out of my eyes, especially this one, which had the surgery. It had a new lens put in, and I can see you out of it. And technology is amazing. It's amazing technology, what they can do.
And I'm going to stretch this out just a little bit here.
Okay.
Here we go. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want everybody to really see your eye.
You want me to take my glasses
Take your glasses off.
You can see it looks a little beaten up.
Yeah.
I look like somebody punched me, but not too bad. It would be black and blue.
It was a light punch.
It's just a light punch, like red.
No. Anyway, it's great to be here. We spent the early part of yesterday.
Very early, too early for me.
Yeah, we left the house at 5:45. It was early. And so we spent some time at the eye clinic yesterday. Laurie came out in a very happy way, and she had her patch on.
I had a patch on my eye
She's a pirate.
Yesterday. But I had to take the patch off at 1:30 in the afternoon. I took it off at 2-ish. And I could see right away out of my eye, and my eye I wasn't all swollen. I didn't look beaten up yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had a cataract surgery, and they put in a new lens, and they also did a little bit of glaucoma treatment. I don't know what exactly they did, but all I know is I'm amazed at what is possible. Yeah, one eye down. That's right. One eye, this eye down, this eye to go. I can't wait now. I'm so excited because it didn't even, I don't know if you're Twilight Zone fans. So I'm going to talk about this because when I was under, first of all, the anesthetician came in and he said to me, anesthesiology, not anesthetician. An anesthesiologist came in and he said to me, how many margaritas do you want? I said 2, please. So he gave me anesthesia, and then he said he gave me 2 shots in my cheeks, but I didn't feel them. Anyway, when I was in the operating room, I could see this eye was patched over, like they had a gown over my face, so just this eye, and I could see lights, just a little bit of light. That's all I could see. Everything was dilated, and it reminded me of an old episode on Twilight Zone where I remember her saying, "Oh, doctors, make me beautiful," and then all you could see was that light, that diffused light. And then she came out of the operation and she looked like Miss Piggy. And they all looked like Piggy. And that was their standard of beauty.
Does anybody remember that one?
How many people remember that on the Twilight Zone? To me it was like Rod Serling's finest hour, where the standard of beauty was more important, what everyone looked like, than it was,
Yeah.
Whatever. Chris remembers.
Chris remembers.
Of course you do. And she comes out and she looks all distorted. She looks like a pig. Her nostrils are like this, and her face is like this. And they all look like that. The doctor looks like, when she went in, she was beautiful. And she comes out looking like the standard of their beauty, which was Piggy.
It was really
And so while
weird.
I was peeing, while the doctor was doing this thing and there was diffused light, I had the thought, oh my God, what if I come out looking like Miss Piggy?
Oh my gosh.
Only I would think of
So
that.
Rod Serling had a really good way of tackling the cultural norms of the day. But here's what's funny. She was afraid of that. I was afraid that she would come out and have better vision, and then I would look like Miss Piggy to her. Like, I was afraid that I was going to be ugly to her. She was going to go, oh, what was I thinking? Who is this guy, you know? So that's my fear.
Oh my goodness.
Don't anybody tell her how really, truly, tragically ugly I am, okay?
Oh my God, you're so funny, Michael. Anyway, there are true miracles in medicine these days, and that's one of them. Like being able to give you a whole new lease on sight. Yeah. Like it's really amazing.
Well, we've got a few friends that are into the transhumanist movement. And
I'm one of them. I'm one of
you. Are you a transhumanist?
I am.
Okay. So we've got a couple of friends that are
of the transhumanist party.
Oh, that's right. You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about that transhumanist stuff.
They just want a Bill of Rights that gives people their medical rights, gives people their rights, like it's a medical Bill of Rights. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea that you could transhumanist kind of also means integrative circuitry and like prosthetics and things like that. And so Laurie and I were talking about this earlier. We were laughing about it earlier. And I was like, well, if there's one thing that I would actually get that's like a cyborg kind of thing, it would definitely be the eyes. My eyes would totally be cyborg and I could see in infrared and I'd be all about that. Mindfulness Babe. Thanks for the subscription. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Is that Jasmine? Mindfulness Babe.
It might be.
Well, anyway.
I don't know. Everybody has different handles.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the subscription. We appreciate you so much.
Jasmine, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mindfulness Babe.
So then I said, okay, so many of you know our friend Liz. Liz Alamila, who just changed her name to Liz Devi.
Yep.
Yes.
It's Jasmine.
Love you, love you, love you. Look, I showed my eye. You can see it's looks a little beaten up, but I could see out of it, and it's blinking, and it works.
You got to write a thing.
You can see that I look a little punched. Like I have a punch me face.
Write a thing about this. Be like, not everybody. Something about fighting, and fighting is ordinary.
Fighting is ordinary, and even if you get punched in the face by your surgeon.
I did not punch her.
Anyway,
I promise.
So anyway, most of you know Liz Alamila, and Liz was telling me yesterday that she has a client or a friend, somebody, who his body has a certain disorder that it eats his eyeball. And so he just had a new eyeball put in that was a donor, somebody else's eyeball. It must have been somebody who was in an accident or whatever, like you donate an organ. So he got an eye donated and it works perfectly. Like he had an implant of an eye. And she said it's going to last him for 10 years. Wow. And then he's going to have to get a new one. And I said that by that time, he'll be able to get the bionic eye. He will not need to get a person's eye. Yeah. He'll probably be able to get the bionic eye, which has already been invented.
He'll be like Colonel Steve Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what they can do.
$6 million
right
man.
Now. It's amazing what they can do right now. So
I wonder.
She was telling me that.
You remember back in the day, it was Steve Austin, but it was the $6 million man.
Yeah.
Remember that? Like half of his body was a cyborg. Yeah. I wonder what it would cost today.
I didn't know the word cyborg then. It just was bionic.
Yeah, he's bionics, right? But I wonder
cyborg. I didn't know that until Star Wars or
some other show.
Not Star Wars. The other one, Star Trek.
Oh, Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew about the cyborg because of Star Trek.
Well, I think that what's interesting is, or I'm curious, what would it cost today to do to do that to a human being? This is good stuff.
Well, this was paid for by Medicare, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So $50.
No, but I paid another $400 or $500 to get special lenses.
Oh, right.
But that's not, look, for an operation, that's not a lot of money.
She got lenses, so she has lens implant that is not the natural lens of the eye, right? And so when she looks a certain way,
He
and
says
the
I'm
light
a cyborg.
and the light hits her eye, it looks really cool. It's like shimmery, like she's a cyborg.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you for the subscription, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, stay with us and we'll show you what else you can replace in your body.
Okay.
We have to touch on that. It's not that this. I mean, we're into that.
We are.
I'm into that. I'm into transhumanism.
I am too, but I also have some concerns about some of the tech.
Okay.
Well, the stuff that keeps you living for a long time, I really enjoy. But the stuff that is trackable, and where I would lose maybe my privacy, I have concerns about. Anyway, moving on. We're here to talk about some kink.
Yeah, we're going to talk about kink today. I hope everybody's down for that.
Who likes kink? Who knows what kink is? All right, let's hear it from the chat. What's kink to you?
Oh, yes. Okay, what is it to you? What is it to you? Kind of like it sometimes.
Sure, yeah. That's why I always say everybody needs a little strange. Some people need a lot of strange, but everybody needs a little strange, right? Kink is that kind of strange. You don't always have to go outside the relationship in order to get a little strange. You can always put a little strange in. And kink is a good way to do that.
Yes, it is.
So what's kink to you?
What is kink to me?
Yeah.
It's doing, let's see. I don't know if I ever defined it. Kink is acting in such a way that presses my boundaries towards things that I used to judge that were weird. But I don't think that's a definition of kink.
Yeah.
Like I used to think anything a little bit outside of what we now call vanilla was weird and strange. And it intrigued me, and I got a little jolt of turn on when I thought about it, but I mostly judged it and said, this is too weird, I'm not doing it.
Right. So kink could be found in the word or the acronym BDSM. People think of that as kink. People would think, well,
a bit strange. People are saying,
putting on wearing other gender clothes or opposite cross-dressing. That could be considered kink.
That is. Or being restrained. Somebody wrote being restrained. Yeah. Being blindfolded. That I always liked. Yeah. I didn't consider that to be too kinky. Latex.
Hey, thanks for the follow.
Yes.
Yes, thanks for the follow. Latex is definitely kink. Well, like you said, rope tying, restraints, that's kink. What about like certain fetishes like foot worship?
That's kink.
That's kink.
Breast worship.
I saw this one thing where what they did is they placed you inside of this. They laid you down on top of this latex sheet, and then they put flowers and things all around you and oils, and then they put this other one on top of you and had this little spot for you to breathe out of. And then they sucked it all like that, the latex together, with smashing you in with all those flowers and stuff. And that's,
you were pressed.
You're pressed together, yeah. It sucks all the air out.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you see that recently?
Oh, it's a while ago.
I saw it a while ago where they...
That's kink. FYI. Who LJP is? It's John. Oh, John, welcome. Thanks for following. Awesome. Yoni, lingam worship. Yeah. Feathering, sensation play. Yes, Careza. Definitely kink.
Yes.
And then there are the taboo kinks, right? That's the bondage, the domination and submission, the sadomasochism.
Playing out fantasies that are not politically or culturally
Yeah. Role
acceptable.
play. Yep.
Certain role plays like
Shame
rape
play.
fantasies, or that one that Om and I, the one that I love to do, humiliation play.
That's, yeah. In fact, yeah, Jasmine just mentioned all of those things.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there's also hero play, which is also a scene where you come in as the hero and you know.
Oh, that one's good. I like that. Do you have a cape?
I do.
I like that. I want you to pick me up next time from the eye clinic wearing a cape.
I will. I'll put on my Superman suit. I have a Superman suit with a cape.
Yes, rope in and of itself feels so good, depending upon the kind of rope you have.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that really beautiful rope that's got a little nylon in it,
Yeah.
and some cotton
Soft
in it.
and
Cotton is really soft rope. It feels good. Hemp feels good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jasmine's like, ooh, I need some hero play. Well, believe me, it's a lot of fun. It's an incredible scene to create.
Yeah, that's so cool. Oh, my hero.
Here I come to save the day. My name is Mighty Mike. I'm on my way. Mike G's in the house, baby.
Do you have an M for your chest?
Yeah, it says Mike G. Hero extraordinaire.
Anyway, so those are kink. Kink is like anything maybe out of the norm.
Yeah, it's anything that's not vanilla. So if you know what vanilla is, it's, the normal. I like you, you like me. Do you want to get it on?
Some people, some people think that Tantra is a kink.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's definitely off the beaten path because of the breathing and the sound and the movement.
Yeah,
that
some
goes
people
along
think
with it.
that it is.
I could see that. And also, the Kama Sutra could be considered kink, although,
it wasn't written for that, but
yeah.
But if you fetishize it, or if it has to be, you have to have tantric lovemaking.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a kink.
Well, I read a book recently. I read books, but I read this book recently called "What Do You Want?" And in that book, the author brings out all of these different things that he asked people, especially about what is it that you're interested in, and more often than not, okay, people spoke about things that they were interested in fantasy-wise, and it was usually kink. A great number of, I forget, 80% or something like that. He also asked about relationship styles and what are some fantasies that people might have regarding the way their relationship is going. And the top one was, for men, was having a threesome. The top one for women was having a threesome.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, it was really wild.
Everybody's top one was having a threesome.
Yeah, and depending on your sexual orientation, so if you were gay, I'd have to go back and read these parts. But if you were gay, it was almost always 3 men, and then the secondary one would have been 2 men and a woman. For heterosexual males, it was typically 1 male, 2 females. Mm-hmm. And then for women, it was typically 1 male, 2 females. However, it was a big wedge that was 2 males. So anyway, I don't know that that's kink. I think it's interesting. Threesomes are my favorite, Daniel says. Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me allow this, Daniel. For some reason, there we go. For some reason, we have one of those little...
we have a bot that censors.
That automatically censors.
Oh my goodness.
The reason for that is...
We have that?
Yes, we do. The reason for that is because, you can't say dirty words. The reason for that is because we want this to be as family friendly as possible. And at the same time, really good information. And we want to be able to say some things that we need to say. So, but, we want to keep it clean inside the chat. If you guys don't mind, what is that little thing right there? Oh, that was my marker. my cursor. Okay. Yeah. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'd like a lot more kink in my life. Where would you say you are on a scale of 1 to 10 in that?
I don't even know. You mean, who am I measuring against?
You're just measuring your own life. You're looking at your life and saying, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'd really like a lot more kink in my life, 5 being I'm okay with the level of kink in my life, 1 being I don't want no more kink in my life.
Oh, no.
Where would you say you are?
5.
You're about a 5?
Yeah.
You got the right amount of kink?
I do.
All right. That's good to know. I'm a 7.
You have just enough or not enough?
I think I could use a little more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's talk about it. You want to talk about it here?
No. Some of my ideas are private.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Good.
I feel fine about the amount in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jasmine says, need to up level my kink. She's a 10 for sure. And yeah, Christine's always looking for more. So yeah, so where would you find yourself? I mean, and then the question is, how do I ask for it? How do I ask for what I want if I want a little more of that in my life? And that might be a good way to say it. You know, honey, I was asked a question today on a TV show.
About the kink in my life, and I'd like a little more.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say we could facilitate that. I'm just making sure my earrings aren't coming off. I don't like that kink. Losing jewelry is not a kink I like.
Not your favorite kink?
You know, we could arrange that. We can have Rupani come with us to one of our retreats.
Yeah, I think that would be an amazing experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Especially you and I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Rupani. You guys just have no idea what a cool cat.
They do. They all know him.
Do you all know him?
I think they all know him. Maybe a few of them don't, but
I know Jasmine definitely knows
and so
him.
does Chris and John.
Yeah, Chris and John know him too.
They don't know him personally. They know him just by being on screen with him.
Oh, man.
Jasmine she's an advocate for level 3. She writes her own posts on all of her social media saying, have you been to 1 and 2? That's good. I'm advocating level 3. And she does it a lot.
And that's a challenge to you and Om to develop the level 3.
No, she's already got it scripted out.
Are you serious?
She does.
Oh my gosh, I would love to be a part of that.
What she has is we sit around eating bonbons and everyone else does scenes and then they feed us. We don't do anything. We're the doms and they just feed us and feed us. What did she say? A manifesting level 3.
Yeah.
In-person program. I don't know what happened here. It changed, but she was she said she was manifesting level 3.
Yep.
And you know, she is. That's what she wants, and she's entitled to get what she wants, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree completely. You should have what you want.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's our Discord. So every now and then, Stream Elements will pop this up here.
Oh. So yeah. So I couldn't see the rest of what she said.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay.
Don't worry too much about it.
So yeah. So. Om has spiced things up a lot.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
for many people.
Yeah.
Us and everyone else we know who's joined us. Some people were foolish enough not to.
Yeah. Well, everybody has a reason for what they do.
Yeah, well.
Or don't do.
Om has really helped a lot, I think.
He has.
Yeah, and he's made it more normalized, I think. You know, he said we could deliver bliss the same way we could do it with eye gazing, the way tantrikas do it.
Mm-hmm.
We could do it through spanking. He said to me, he's going to show me that, and he didn't lie. He was right.
The same level.
He was correct.
He said the same level of bliss that Tantrikas could get from eye gazing. That's what you said?
Right.
Could be achieved through spanking.
Right. He showed that. And in our classes, when people do spank training, when they're finished, the person who received the spanking is completely blissed out.
Totally blissed out.
So
I know for a fact, because in Miami, I was on. I'm not going to say what her name is. I was on someone's knee, and I was the spanky. And after a good solid 10 minutes, I think it was. It was a few minutes of having my bare butt turned red. When she was done, I was like, there was this level of peace, connection to my body, not only to my pain, but also to the pleasure I felt. It was really, really powerful. So Kink has a lot of fun. I think if you think of it in terms of something that I like to do, Kink can be considered something that's, novel. If you've watched the 50 Shades of Grey franchise, you can see it's also miscommunicated in some ways, BDSM especially. But for the most part, when done responsibly, it can generate not just this novel experience, but also this very deep, almost earthy feel of connection that will expand it. Yeah, exactly. It helps you expand and grow. Thank you, Careza. Perfect.
Because here's the thing, you can expand into new sensations that you wouldn't have thought of before. And the other piece that was mind-blowing is that if you add a little pain to your pleasure, just a little bit of pain to your pleasure, it expands the pleasure. Mm. And that's like, who would have thought of that? I mean, but Om thought of that, and I don't know if he made it up. I mean, I don't know what he actually learned. I was not at his lessons when he learned. I mean, he originally went to Dark Odyssey, and he studied with a whole bunch of different doms. He let them, beat the shit out of him.
Wow.
So that he could experience, that's the thing. Like, I think everybody should be both sides. That's another thing. We can ask him that when he comes on.
Yeah.
Do you think people should be on both sides? I think everybody should play both sides. I don't like these people who just say, I'm just a dom. I'm just going to dom somebody. Well, have you ever subbed? If you're just a dom, you could be sadistic. And I don't want to, I'm not as apt to trust you if you haven't done both sides. Mm. So.
Thanks for following, David. El Goliath. Yeah, thanks for the follow. We appreciate you. Welcome to the party.
Yes. Welcome.
So we like to answer questions whenever they arise. And so if you have any questions about any of this topic that we're on right now, which is, what's this thing called kink? What do you think about kink?
Do you think transhumanism is kinky?
I think it can be. I mean, when we're talking about sexual pleasure, if transhumanism comes into that, certainly. And there is some of that, right?
Yeah, I describe the Sibian machine as transhuman.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Sibian machine is definitely a Lamborghini fuck machine.
Totally.
And
it's kinky.
It's transhuman, and so are sex bots, sex robots, and so are those dolls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dolls is the lifelike dolls.
Lifelike sex dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's transhuman, and I think that's kinky.
Well, didn't you, you recently gave, recently being a month or so ago, you gave a sex talk about how aging and how sexuality keeps you young. But inside of that, you always, or the last few times I've heard you talk about it, you actually talked about robots and things like that. Like, these are some things that are coming our way. And there's a lot of different things to think about. If you're having sex with a robot, is that cheating? You know what I mean? Like, Are you cheating on your
Some people think
partner?
that if you're having sex with a doll or a robot, you're cheating. And other people feel like it's okay. They're not there all the time. They're not with you all the time. They can't fulfill all your needs.
Right.
Plus, a robot would never say no.
That's right.
You know, you'd program the robot to say whatever you wanted to say. So, you know, it's like the likes that you get on Facebook, you know, and that gives you a little rush of oxytocin. So if your robot always says yes to you.
It's another dopamine
And
hit.
so is that a kink?
Yeah. I mean, if you get turned on by a robot, that's kinky.
Look, you got... When that guy that I interviewed, what was that guy? The guy who had the dolls named Playbay?
Yeah, yeah.
You got turned on by his dolls.
His dolls are hot. I mean, yeah, they are hot.
So I got turned on by the Sibian.
Well, and you did a 30-day.
I did a 30-day Sibian challenge.
That's right.
More than 30. I did a 32-day Sibian challenge.
She rode that Sibian.
But I didn't do it 32 days in a row. I took some days off.
You rode
Some days I just did the Sibian and I just cried. I just had emotional release on it. And some days I did the Sibian and it was like hot as can be. It was like, you know, it was hot sex.
Yeah.
So
you want to describe what the Sibian is?
Yeah, the Sibian, for people who don't know, maybe you could put this in the chat, Chrissy. It's Sibian.com. So it's Sybian. There's no M in it. Sibian. Sybian.com. Sibian is a saddle style riding machine for women. And it has two components to it. It has two motors. One motor goes like this. It's insertable, and the thing goes around like this, and it vibrates. And then the other motor in the front goes like this. Like this, and there are different attachments that go on it. And
it does more than go like this. It vibrates really, really high. So it's not just like that.
Look, you can set it on high, or you can set. It has like a dial that looks like, you know, it's like a mad scientist dialing machine. It has two knobs, and you can turn it all the way up. And
me as a mad scientist.
Yeah, and you can give the controls over to somebody, and then ride the machine like as slow or as fast as. What I've done, I brought the machine to hedonism in Jamaica, and first of all, traveling with a Sibian, that's a whole other thing. So I have to write a note in my luggage that says, "Dear TSA, do not take anything from this suitcase. This is my right livelihood, my means of making a living. Do not steal anything." Because TSA has been known to steal vibrators and other things from people's suitcases. So that's number one. Two, I get to Jamaica, they say, "What's in there?" And I say what it is. I say it's a big vibrator, and they go, "Where you going, man?" And so
thanks
you
for the subscription.
For the subscription, David L. Goliath.
Thank you.
Anyway, so I say it's a vibration machine, and then they put it through the X-ray, and they all go, "Yo, man, hey, look at this. Hey, look at what she got, man. Hey, man, look at what she got." And then they say, "Where are you going?" I say, "I'm going to hedonism," and they go, "Oh yeah, yeah, man."
And then they pass you a blunt.
They're hysterical.
Because you're in Jamaica.
At the Jamaican customs. Anyway, but I brought the thing, a couple of times to hedonism.
Well, I just had an idea.
And I don't have to now because there's one there waiting for me. If I should bring people back there again, I don't have to bring my own. But
I think it'd be a lot of fun to also do, to tie you up. Like either like this over or like this from behind. And then I have the controls.
Yeah, well, anyway,
I want to do that.
So the men, the first thing that happens is if we give the men the controls, they turn it all the way up. Like
Don't do that.
Like you're on like you think you're having sex with a 747. That is not
Don't do that.
fun.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know any woman who has fantasies about having sex with an airplane.
No.
A jet.
I don't either.
No, so turning it all the way up is not like the best idea.
Go slow.
Going slow is really good. Anyway, we're very good friends with the creators of Sybian. It's made in the U.S. And we're friends with the creator and the creator's daughter.
Yeah.
And we love them. And the whole family is involved in this Sybian thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tanya! It's good to be together again. Yeah. No COVID this time round. Thank goodness.
We both tested negative. Last week we didn't know if we had COVID or not. I was in one place and he was in this studio. I was in my office. But we tested negative. Yeah.
Thankfully, thank you.
Who needs that? Oh yeah, you need that. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, and tied up. Try it tied up. I've never tried it tied up, but I'm making little suggestions as we go through this conversation.
He's like nudging me. He's nudging me. Hey, want to be tied up on the Sybian?
Can I tie you up?
I'll let you know.
She'll let me know.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
So anyway, that's a transhumanist. To me, that's a transhumanist thing.
Yeah.
And the Hitachi, I would never leave home without it. That's a machine. That's a machine that a woman can't live without. So what difference does it make if there's a machine inside or outside? What difference does it make?
Well, it could make all the difference in the world, really. Like the question is, how many orgasms do you want to have? It could make a huge difference.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
It could.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's a transhumanist question.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Negotiating boundaries? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a kink? Yeah.
No, but I think in order to...
It's definitely part of it.
I think in order to get into kink, you have to negotiate boundaries.
You certainly do.
You have to do that.
Oh, the Sybian has come up in conversation a bazillion times in the last month. I love it. You know the creator. That's from Tanya.
Oh, my goodness. The creator is Dave.
Yep. Dave Lampert.
And his daughter's name is Bunny. And, we love them. They've been to Radfest. They're into transhumanism. So we've been to Radfest with them. They're into life extension, radical life extension.
Yep. That's right, Christine. Yeah. Yes, I was.
Yeah.
She's sharp.
Yeah. So we love them and we support them. I met them because Dave came on my podcast already years ago. When I was first here. When I first moved to Arizona, so it's got to be like maybe 9 years ago, Dave came on my podcast. He was looking for 30 or 40 women to try out a new G-spot stimulator tool on. And so I got all my women at that time involved with him. Tanya, I didn't know you then, so I would have otherwise. But the funny thing is it looked like a ball-peen hammer. And when he sent it to me, he sent it to each one of us. And we all opened up the package and we were like, this isn't sexy. I called him. I went, Dave, this looks like a ball-peen hammer. Nobody wants to put that inside. No one wants to insert that. It doesn't look sexy. It doesn't look good. And he was like, yeah, but it works really good. I was like, yeah, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Like for women, it has to look good. It can't just be functional. Like the Sybian looks good. The Sybian is all beautiful. You can get a different color leatherette.
Red or black or...
Purple.
Purple.
Brown, different colors.
Yeah.
Comes with a little bench.
The attachments are also colorized.
Yeah.
You decide what you want from that.
Exactly.
Yep. And they've got large members and medium-sized members and all different sizes.
Yes, they do. And they look like people who are of Caucasian descent and people who are of African descent.
That's right.
And you decide. You decide which one. Or people who are purple descent.
That's right. There's a purple descent too.
Yeah. So
Whatever that is. Whatever that is. Well, I don't know. I don't know about y'all, but or where your kink takes you. But one of the things that is always interesting to me is in the world of BDSM, there are these what does he call it? What does Om call it? Archetypes.
Yeah.
Right. So the archetype of being a dominant or a submissive, and the way that he describes all of it, like how that all works. And I guess my question to you is, where do you land on that spectrum? Do you find yourself being more comfortable in the dominant role, or do you find yourself more comfortable in the sub role? And do you know what that means? And have you ever switched? So I'm asking the chat right now what that is.
Okay, that's great.
And as I ask them that question, I'm going to ask you the same question. Where do you feel more comfortable in those roles?
In my life, I feel more comfortable as a dominant.
Mm-hmm.
As I move through life, I feel more comfortable as a dominant, but more and more, I don't need to be dominant. I used to walk into a room and like take charge, and now I don't have to. I don't care. But most of my life, I was that. And then in private, like with you, I feel more comfortable as a submissive because I trust you. So I feel like I can let go of control with you.
Oh, wow. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I feel more dominant as well. And when there is a request for me to submit or to be in the surrender, I'm willing to, and have done that in the past. In fact, you hypnotized me once because I was just like
he would not let go of being dominant. And so I had just taught a course called Hypnosis for Lovers, and the next time I saw Michael, I said to him, I would like to hypnotize you. And he said, why? And I said, I'd like to hypnotize you because you don't receive well. You don't relax into your pleasure.
Yep.
And I'd like to just give to you and have you just receive instead of trying to dominate. And you said, okay. You said, all right. You trusted me. Michael thinks he's still hypnotized.
I keep wondering, did you ever break that spell you had on me? I don't know. Maybe I'm still hypnotized. Maybe that's why I'm like how I am. I don't know. Anyway, David says Dom. That's right. David says Dom. And Careza says, I'm comfortable as dominant, but want to surrender and be more submissive, balanced with myself and with the right relationship.
Yes. Totally
and then David followed up with Dom with, but need to surrender. Yeah, control issues. Totally. Yeah. The idea of surrender often feels like you're giving something up. Like I'm surrendering, like to the government. I'm going to surrender, or the police or whatever. Like I'm surrendering all my rights and really what we mean is surrendering to your pleasure. Like not necessarily surrendering to a person, but surrendering to your pleasure. And that person, being the Dom, has taken on the role of being ultimately responsible for the way the scene unfolds. And you're the one who is the director. You wrote the script.
Do you think we're telling too much about what's going to happen when Om comes on?
No, Om's got such a depth and breadth of stuff. Oh, no.
Okay.
But we're just talking about Dom and sub and what people really are into. Yeah, Jasmine, I'm in private. I feel more comfortable submissive and a brat at times, though. Ooh, Om's got to say something about brattiness.
Yeah, he does.
But I want to explore being more dominant. Yeah, of course.
He doesn't like submissive brats.
Yeah. Chris says, trying to let go of dominance traits, trust my partner, and want to feel surrender. Yeah.
Yeah. Feeling surrender is this amazing experience. I mean, it brings me to tears.
Yeah.
That I can be so trusting and like let go. Finally. I mean, it's taken so many years.
Yeah. I love, I'm not going to give it away, but I love Om's take on the sub and the feminine and how all that, works. So, yeah.
You're not going to give it away.
Nope.
You're giving it away.
I'm not giving it away.
Okay.
He's going to say it, not me.
Okay.
Exo-worthy warrior. I'm a definite brat. We're on the same page lately so much. Oh, yeah. You brats.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't waste his time. he wouldn't. He doesn't waste his time with brats. He said, you either want to submit or you don't. If you don't, that's fine, but don't like try to set somebody up so they can't win. He says, if you want to be in either role, then let the person win. You have to make your dom win. If you don't let your dom win, then you can't respect them. If you can't respect them, then you can't submit to them, and on and on. It just gets like a never-ending cycle. So you have to give them things that they can win at.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't keep doing it if I frustrated the hell out of you.
No way.
So, no, being a brat, you can be a brat somewhere else. Be a brat to the government. Be a brat to, something else.
Please be a brat to the government. Please.
But I don't know about, being a brat in a scene.
Well, and maybe we should say a little something.
I mean, if I was dominating you and you were a brat, I would put you in my closet and I would tie you up, put you in my closet and close the door.
There you go, brat.
I'll see you in a while. I'm not coming to get you first until you get over it. And you'd just be tied up in my closet. Yeah, maybe you would like that. I had somebody who was that for a while. He used to come over and vacuum my house in women's panties and little stubby heels. And he loved being punished. So I used to tie up his wrists and put him in my closet and close the door.
Okay.
This is before I knew you.
Just gonna say, she's not talking about me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. She ain't talking about me.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. You wouldn't like it. You wouldn't be a brat, though.
Well, first of all, I don't think I could fit into any of those kind of outfits in my current state. Something's gonna rip. So that's number one. Number two, no, you ain't putting me in no closet. Fuck that. Look at this face. Everybody, look at that. Like, challenge accepted. Is that what you see here? Challenge accepted, right? That's what you see there, don't you? That shit-eating grin tells me she's going to try. I love you, honey. You are hilarious.
Consensual non-consent, yes.
That seems to drive your brat response? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Glad, the words, you didn't have them. Yeah, so, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know, I might have to put you in my closet. Look at your eyes. You're like, no.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that, darling. It's not going to happen.
I'll hypnotize you and walk you to the closet.
Oh, no, you won't. You don't have some special word that, like, you say and then I just go... And then you can make me do anything you want, is there?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
All right.
I don't have that. I didn't learn that in hypnosis. Special word.
You should have learned that first.
I bet you Justin can do that to you, but you
I'll
don't
bet
know
he
him.
can.
Justin's the best hypnotist.
No thanks, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like a sleeper spy or something.
Justin is amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. People can look him up. Justin Trance. Just in Trance. You look him up online. He was he and Richard Anthony were the two hypnotists that I worked with. They could get people to do anything.
Do not encourage her, Christine. Do not.
If I do it, I'm letting you know first.
Do not. You better get video. I won't believe you.
You'll go willingly.
I won't believe you if there's no video. You'll be like, oh, I told you to do this and you did that. And then I'm going to be like, you got video? And you'll be like, no. Never happened.
No, they can't. When you're hypnotized, a hypnotic person, a hypnotist cannot get you to do something that you wouldn't do.
Really?
No.
Huh.
When you do things under hypnosis, you do them willingly.
Okay.
They don't get you to do things.
Why bother getting hypnotized then?
Because your conscious mind wouldn't necessarily let you do it, but your unconscious mind would.
I'm confused.
Okay. That's fine.
Don't try to unconfuse me.
You can be confused.
I'm okay with that.
You can be confused.
I'm okay with being confused. Oh.
You can be confused.
Well.
Om's coming on soon.
Yeah, one of these days, I'd like to take this outside where we could do a show outside because it's so nice out right now.
Okay, honey.
I want to do it outside one of these days. Get ready, people. We're going to figure that out.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hey, Chrissy, has Om arrived yet?
It's 25 degrees there. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
So let's go. Let's go outside.
You want to be outside? Okay, honey.
Yes, sir. That's good.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yes, sir. You know me well. I like it when you call me sir.
I know. Turns you on.
Oh, yeah.
You could just get into role by using language. Om is here, she says. He's here.
Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm going to put us on break for about 5 minutes. And when we come back, we will have the one, the only, Om Rupani with us.
Okay, great.
All right, here we are.
We are? Are we back live?
We are back live.
Okay, great.
All right. Hello, everyone.
We are back, and we are here with Om Rupani. And some of you know Om, but I will introduce him, and then you'll find out more as we go along. So I met Om long ago in New York City, and long ago meaning, 20 years, maybe a little short of 20 years. And Om, at the time, was a photographer and an artist who was studying Tantra, and then he got into Kink, and now he does classes we do Tantra Meets BDSM together, levels 1 and 2. He does a class called The Dominant Male. He does another class called The Submissive Woman. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but it's about women submitting. And I think there's a couple of levels of that at this point. And there's probably some more. Plus, he's written a book called The Prerequisites to Ecstasy, and it's awesome. And you might want to get a hold of that. And so he hasn't stopped being an artist and a photographer, but he's just branched out into more Kink stuff since the beginning. You can't not be an artist once you're an artist already. So Om Rupani, welcome to Extraordinary Lovers. It's great to
Thank
have
you for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you and Michael.
Hi, Om.
Hello.
You're my brother.
Did we miss anything? Did I miss anything when I was introducing you? Did I miss?
Those are the big pieces. One big class for men who want to explore their dominance, and I'm teaching with Jillian Portier and Agnes Mahalik for women who want to explore their submissive archetype. Those are the two big things, and then what we do, Tantra Meets BDSM.
Yeah.
World traveled course. I think that's the course I have taught the most in the past several years.
Yeah, we had 2 world tours. We
We did everywhere.
We
We're like itching to get back, except everything, is on standstill as far as travel.
We went to Europe and we went to the South Pacific, and I'd love to go again. We're supposed to go to Canada, but who knows? Canada is so locked down right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, we will make it to Germany this summer. There's a lot of people who want us, the 3 of us. in Germany. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we were just commenting on having you be a part of our retreats because everybody needs a little strange. You know what I mean?
True.
And your brand is strange. Um, a lot of people really do gravitate towards so BDSM and Dom submissive
Yeah.
roles and those kinds of things. And so, yeah, it's just cool to be able to hang out with you, man. I really, I like getting to spend time with you, FaceTime with you, because you're just one of those guys that I look up to.
Cool. I hear you. And I've observed the same thing. I actually feel there is such a desire and curiosity around BDSM, but there's attraction and repulsion. So many people are curious about it, but they are not curious enough to seek it out themselves. So sometimes if they like show up in a place and it's happening there, they're like, oh, I'm definitely trying it here.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't have to make any extra effort, if I don't have to sign up for anything, if I don't blah, blah, blah. If you kind of deliver it to them, it's like everybody is a yes. So I've observed that a lot in other circles, non-BDSM circles, that the curiosity level is extremely high, but still many people still hesitate from pursuing it themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That is such a good observation. You and I
Yeah.
were at a temple space in upstate New York where
Yeah.
they did dark and light temple. We sat on the dark side of things, and there were way more people on the dark side than
Yeah.
people on the light side. There were maybe, 10 people on the light side, and everybody else out of, I don't know.
Yeah, we are very popular at gatherings. And I've never been so popular in my life as I am these days. But
I gave you the bell for that.
I'm like the house dom is here. Everybody line up. I'm like, all right.
I saw that happen, yeah, in Costa Rica.
Yeah, and I enjoy it and it's lovely. Sometimes it takes a lot of energy, but it's also curious to observe that the level of desire and curiosity is so high. But then when we are enrolling people for courses, it's harder. It's a lot harder. So it's like there is kind of a sludge in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about the popularity, though. I love that. I mean, I don't experience you. I actually, let me just say, I was going to say I don't experience you as different, but it's not true. I actually experience you as much happier these days than when I met you in the beginning. Like
Yeah.
I feel like your life, you're kind of like a sex god now, you
Well, I
know.
should put that on my business card.
Indeed, you should.
Thought about putting international sex guru. But what's your question?
Well, the question was going to be, how do you handle the ego switch from being not so popular to being really popular? There were times when possibly you were ignored in a circle of people, and now you're like, you walk in the room and everybody goes, he's here.
I don't know if that accurately describes kind of my internal shift. First of all, I've always been happy being ignored. I'm really an introvert.
Mm.
I'm not one of those introverts that wishes everybody was looking at me. It actually drains me to engage a room full of people. So I actually don't mind being a little bit on the outside observing. I've never kind of craved the spotlight. If anything, it's been a struggle to own the spotlight when that's what's called for. To
That's
learn to teach, to learn to open up my voice. I used to mumble all through college. People sitting next to me couldn't hear me. My friends would say, we have no idea what you just said. When I met you, I used to mumble.
Yes.
Right. So, but it was like I was very introvert. I'm still introverted, but actually the effort has been like, no, I do want to teach. I do want to communicate. And to do that, I do need to project and I do need to own this room. And I've always kind of had the big energy anyway, but I think when I met you, I was kind of in shadow about it. I think I often credit you and a couple of other mentors of that time that kind of kicked me in the ass and said, stop acting smaller than you are. Doesn't help anyone.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I think that has been more my arc, like do this work, speak, teach, hold the space. Even when I do it, it is exhausting, as it is often for introverts. So if when Michael saw me in Costa Rica when we were together, There were a lot of people interested in exploring this, and I could, had a lot of scenes for people. It's delightful, but in the end, I'm kind of exhausted. I'm really happy to go to my room and kind of chill out for 12 hours before I re-engage. So that's more my cycle than kind of craving the spotlight. In the if in the line of craving the spotlight, the bigger agenda, the bigger piece is, am I contributing something worthwhile?
Yes.
Right.
It really isn't like, do I have the spotlight? Like, was it worth it, their time and money? And I think you and I often have this conversation, and our satisfaction at the end of a course is, yeah, we delivered.
Yes.
We feel we delivered, and that's what feels good, not like having any kind of a spotlight.
Yeah.
Very good. I love your answer to that. Thank you. So let's move to, we were trying to define kink, like to give it a definition before.
Yep.
And people came
Yep.
up with things, like out of the ordinary, out of vanilla, but everything was like actually defining it based on it. So maybe you have a definition that we were not able to.
I think the working definition is that somebody is getting off on something that you don't get off on, or something is getting off on something that surprises you, or something is getting off on something you want to get off on but you're afraid to. So like pick one of those. But there is an element of jealousy and envy, and that somebody is able to mine something for happiness and pleasure that you don't have access to. And sometimes that might be like, you know what, that's your pleasure. I have no idea, no desire to. I run into kinks all the time. I'm like, more power to you. Doesn't do anything for me. But then there are other things which resonate with our taboo, with our shadow, and those are the ones that bother people the most. Submission being one of them. Walking into this all day long, every day these days with women, because submission is one of those attractors and detractors, attractors and repulse. Women are not indifferent to submission. Everybody has an opinion about it. Either there's a secret desire for it, or there's a political revulsion to it, or like, yeah, I've already found my joy in it. Hardly any woman is going to be indifferent to feminine submission, especially to a man. And that kind of really thinks it kind of, people reveal themselves in their response to it. So I feel when people say kink, it's kind of one of those things.
I feel like it took something for me to take you up on the invitation to experience that with you.
Yeah.
And because what was going through my head was like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me?
Yeah.
I'm such a powerful woman in the world. If I say I like this, what is it going to mean? Will my reputation as a Tantra teacher continue? Will people still respect me? I had all that going on.
No,
Yeah.
and I totally acknowledge and honor those are, and I don't think those are frivolous. I don't even treat people's resistance like, oh, you're just resistance, you need to get. Oh, these are real concerns. Laurie, you have suffered because of working with me. You have
Yeah.
received flack. There are people you love and respect who have turned to you and said, what are you doing this work? So there can be a cost. So it's not like their concerns are completely neurotic. They're not.
Well, imagine.
People are judgmental. People don't accept things. So
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
I
one example I give out. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Billions on Showtime. Paul Giamatti. It's a wonderful show, brilliantly written. But in that show, Paul Giamatti plays a district attorney, a New York district attorney, a very powerful man, very powerful position, and he's a sexual submissive. And they show some kink, and he submits oftentimes to his wife or to a dominatrix. He goes to his wife. So when I saw the show, I'm like, oh, wonderful. They're bringing it into the mainstream. Paul Giamatti, a known actor.
yes.
But you watch the show long enough, you realize one of the subplots of the show is that people find out that he's a sexual submissive, and they use that information to blackmail him. So I'm like, okay, so that's where we are. Yeah. We can show that there are people like this, and yet we know it's shameful enough that you can be blackmailed. This information can be held against you, and kind of that's where our society is. You and I both know how many powerful men are sexually submissive, how many the dominatrices of the world are busy handling billionaires and judges and cops and captains and politicians and ambassadors, right?
That's right.
And yet those dominatrixes get paid at least part of the money they do for their confidentiality, because if it gets out, it's a scandal. At
Yes.
least in this country, is maybe not in France. Maybe in France they're like,
Maybe it's okay in France.
Yeah. Oh,
they
Jamie's
just shrug
on.
their shoulders.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, good to see you. I'm glad you joined us again.
Yes. Thank
Meet
you.
Rupani. He teaches Tantra
Well,
Meets BDSM with me. Yay.
Well, one of the things that I'm curious about, is, and it's an observation for me, that women really, in order for them to have a really powerful experience, or what I call like a high level sexual experience, they really need their partner to be present. Like that's one of the main things that I feel like women desire from their masculine partner, is that presence, that masculine presence. On the flip side to that, what men seem to need is men seem to need to be desired and then surrendered to. Like
yeah.
desire me, but then surrender to me.
But not all, because not the ones he just discussed.
No, I'm talking
Okay.
about in a normal kind of
Very general.
general way. That dynamic, and then at the same time, what you're talking about here is this surrender piece is really so hard to do.
Yeah.
It's like one of the most difficult things, and you said it. Can you speak to that push pull of desire and surrender? How does that play into some of this conversation?
When I feel like they're like so big and rich on their own, it's like better to address almost them separately a little bit. So I'll speak to the idea that women can very easily perceive if their partners are checked out, if their partners are not present, right? So a very simple way to land this would be, you guys are in the desert. So imagine you're driving your car, your Mustang, in the desert, and the road is empty and you can see about 5 miles ahead, and it's a straight road. Beautiful sunny day, afternoon, nobody in sight, straight down the road, right? Now that's one way, that is one driving event. The other driving event is, imagine the mountains of Italy and one of those gorgeous winding roads that you see in a James Bond movie,
Mm.
right? So, question, which one requires you to pay more attention?
The second one,
Why?
because
Technically, why?
because of the winding, because of the
Because
changing.
it's changing, and if you really want to get really nerdy about it, it is the change is happening over a shorter time frame. Second to second, the road is so different, you can't look away for a second, you will go off the cliff.
Yep.
Right. The Amalfi Coast. I know
Yeah,
it well.
because the change is rapid. The change in the system is rapid, that if you're not with it, you're going to go off the rails. It's not going to work at all, right? In the desert, if you can see 10 miles ahead of you and it's a straight shot, you could put your hands up and close your eyes, or have one of those movie moments, and nothing's going to go wrong because there's nothing off to the side except more dirt. There's nothing to fall off to. I think when people are in peak experiences, when their system is really moving, it is moving so rapidly that if you really want to hold on to it, it's like the fastest piece of a tango. It's the worst place to lose your concentration. It's the worst place to start making your grocery list, because you're going to fall off the ride, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happens when sensation goes up and things really speed up. And that's why sticking to rote is not going to work. Doing what worked 10 seconds ago is not going to work. Doing what you did yesterday is not going to work. This is why the whole point of attention is to figure out what is the data in this moment and what's my response to it. Right? And that's where the mastery is. When you hear great jazz, you will hear the same thing. They can't afford to be a second ahead or behind. They are like right there with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exhilarating, because you can hear the call and response in a rapid time frame shift. right? Within 20 seconds, they play it back so many times back and forth that it's like gives you chills, as compared to like maybe in classical music, like I know what notes my person next to me is going to play for the next 20 minutes.
Right.
And I know what notes I'm going to play for the next 20 minutes. And you can actually, if you have enough mastery with the instrument, you actually don't need to pay that much attention. You can doze off a little bit. Know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
what I've observed. Why attention is required when we keep talking about come back to attention, especially if you're in the master position. Because if you don't, you will only handle your partner system in big chunks. Think of it this way. If you're able to focus quarter second by quarter second, let's say, you can handle their system with that degree of nuance. If you're only able to focus in 5 second chunks, you will only be able to stroke them and handle them with that degree of, what's the term they use in printing? Like how fine is your perception? What's the resolution?
Yeah.
What's the resolution of your attention?
Pixelations.
Yeah, it's something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Are you on the ride in a very fine way, or are you kind of playing with them in big chunks? Right. In big chunks, you can tell, okay, try these 5 strokes on everybody who shows up. Maybe they're good 5 strokes, maybe they work. But they're kind of lump sum. They're not really custom devised to this particular person in this particular moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the attention piece. That is a very big piece. You can talk a lot on that part. I think on the men being desired, I feel it's more that men want to be approved of, that men want to be found right. I think desired is more a feminine pull. Women want to feel desired. I think men want to feel that they're being approved for who they are and what they're bringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Good job.
Yeah.
And men want to be received, right? Part of acknowledging us is saying, I value you for what you bring. Well, if you're valuing me for what I bring, you should surrender to it, should receive me.
Oh, yeah.
Because to say, oh, you're amazing, but I'm not going to receive you doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Because the actions speak louder than the words. We can have women who are very sweet to us, but closed off to us. That doesn't feel good. We kind of feel we're being handled.
Yeah.
Like they know what we want, but they're actually not giving us the real thing. They're only giving us the sugary replication of it. Right.
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, we past the age of 14, we can see it coming a mile away. Oh, honey, so sweet, my hero. Like, shut the fuck up. Right. When women use, they know what they're doing. They know what works. They know what we want to hear. They know we want that feminine approval. But they give us a saccharine version of it instead of actually giving us approval from their heart, which is what we crave. And the proof positive of their approval of their heart is that they surrender to us.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you look at you. You're not even saying he's speechless. He is not speaking.
Powerful.
You have just taken the speech right out of the man that can speak on anything.
That was not my intention.
No,
Well,
but it's
yeah,
great.
but it was powerful.
But it like it went in, like it was really, really good.
Thank you.
And Chrissy, who's our producer, is saying, so powerful. It is. It's really powerful. So yeah. All right. So now we brought up the subject. People brought up the subject of being a brat. And I said, Ohm's not going to like this. He does not want to waste his time on bratties.
No, absolutely. I can talk on the why the brattiness and what the limitation in that is.
Yeah, do please, because I know you'll shed some light on it, and people need to see what price they're paying in that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, so when I observe people trying to be bratty, ultimately what I'm observing is that they don't really want to have the experience of surrender. Right. When I kind of play it out, like imagine somebody standing in your doorway, holding on to the sides of the door frame with all their might and then saying, go ahead, push me. And you try to push them and they hold on tight, say, I'm not going to go. Go ahead, push me. Like, no, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go. So that's a game you're playing. It looks like a game to play. Like it looks like a game to play. Go ahead, push me, but I'm not gonna move. Go push me. I'm not gonna move. I'm like, what has happened by the end of that game? If you play that game for 15 minutes or half an hour, an
You're
hour,
exhausted. Everybody's
I've spent a
exhausted.
lot of energy and you haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
But you have enjoyed the struggle. You have taken my attention. Because you had my attention. That was the otherwise there wouldn't be nothing. No, if nobody's trying to push you anywhere.
Right.
Who are you going to be a brat across from? Yourself in the mirror? Right? So you need somebody else to want to move you someplace, and you're basically going to raise your fingers and say, I'm not going. Now that's a game you can play. To me, it's not a very interesting game. And if you look underneath that game, there is massive fear of surrender. There's massive fear of the unknown. So they're actually shadow pieces running this stupid game. It's not as innocuous as it looks. If it were just playful, be like, okay, you get off on the play and the teasing. And if that's what you're doing, more power to you, enjoy it. But more often than not, there is a shadow piece, which is people who are terrified of surrendering. They know how to play cute. They would have to be cute enough. They would have to be flirty enough for someone to bother putting up with their brat because it's annoying. So hot girls can get away with it, right? Because men want to be around them and play with them because just to be close to them, because they're that hot. But trust me, once that wears off, when that wears off, you're like, this is a freaking waste of time. And you as the dom, you as the man will feel your energy draining. You will feel this is not the best use of my resources. This is not the best use of my mastery. Especially when you can compare it to how your system feels when somebody surrenders to you and you actually take them to a real place. You actually feel like a shaman. It's a big word, but in the dom, when that relationship works, you actually enter the unknown. You don't know where you're going, and an authentic experience happens. And even if at the end of it you're tired at the end of a real journey compared to wrestling with somebody in the doorframe.
Yeah.
Which is entirely their game, right? It's entirely made up. And in the end, you have gone nowhere. You ended up exactly where you started. That's a waste of time.
So
yeah, and
actually,
I think the point is to get on the journey and actually take it. And we do have a question from David. He's asking, is brat always a choice, or could it be a limitation they need help working through?
Well, it's up to you if you want to say people that much. I would rather always say people have a choice. The more you indulge their brattiness, brats love that stuff. What you need to leave the brats is leave them alone in a corner to be a brat with themselves. See how much fun that is.
that's what I said earlier. I said if someone was being a brat with me, I would tie up their wrists and put them in my closet and close the door and leave them in the closet.
They need an exclusion scene.
Exactly. They wouldn't be.
If they're up for it. If they're up for it, if they want to do it consensually, that could actually give them some release, because what they are feeding on is other people's attention without actually using that attention in any kind of a productive way that moves their own system. I think it's a pretty unfriendly, ungracious thing to do, actually.
Yeah. Caressa is saying, always go in the unknown because that's where life is so beautiful. It's true. We know that. The unknown is the place that we want to explore, where there's so much that opens up. So, yeah.
Surrender to the
unknown looks like that winding mountain road because you don't know what's coming. You don't know where you're going.
You don't. And
that's why it's exciting. It's very engaging.
And most of that mountain road, at least when I drove it, didn't even have those mirrors. It didn't show you anything coming from the others. I remember I was going to Italy. I was 18, and my mother said, whatever you do, don't drive the Amalfi Coast. And as soon as we got there, I took the wheel and I drove that Amalfi Coast. And it was scary, but it was exhilarating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm up for it. I want to do it.
Yeah, surrender to the more, Jamie says. Yes. Surrender to the unknown, Caressa says. Yes. Yeah, I think in terms of David's question, I wouldn't want to I would want some, I wouldn't want to work somebody that way. I would really want them to come to class and experiment in our class. And of course, in class, they still have their yes and no, and they still have their safe words. You always have your safe words, and you have a system where you can say this is good and not so much. Like you have ways of communicating. I'd want the people to come to class with other people rather than like bust my pick on one person.
Yep.
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that at all.
Yeah, it's boring.
It is. It's boring. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's the constant question that keeps coming, and it always sounds like yeah, but, and I call those people yeah buts. I'll say, oh, you're a yeah but, and they're like, what? And then they go, so tell me about this again. Well, da 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 da. Oh, well, here's the solution. Yeah, but da 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 da. And I go, yeah, you're a yeah but.
Yeah,
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, but there's real
Welcome to
joy.
my life.
But there's real joy in this. There's real joy in this as a practice. Om and I have had so many. We've had so much fun with people, and people have gained so much from the classes that we've provided, and we've gained so much from the classes he and I have
That's right.
provided. I mean,
That's always great to hear.
Well, you introduced us.
When you see the chefs eating their own food, you know you're in the right restaurant.
That's right. That's right. You introduced us to some of the most amazing, methods for communicating. That has absolutely revolutionized our love life, and our love making is extraordinary because of it. So thank you, Om Rupani.
And we thought it was great before. We thought it was great before, and then it went up.
Yeah.
It just kept going up, notches and notches. So
Yeah.
true that.
No, I tell you, necessity is the mother of invention. The reason even a finer degree of communication is needed, to come back to our analogy, is because in DS play, the road is faster, changing faster and winding more. It changes faster, winds more. You don't know where you end up from where. And because of that, you need a more robust way of steering. So you need sharper communication, more abbreviated communication. You need more communication before and after. Otherwise, you're going to go off the rails.
Yeah. Well, I think if I remember how you said it, was the nervous system in chaos. I think was the term that you used. It's like you're dealing with a nervous system that's in chaos.
Yeah. I mean, arousal is that way. Orgasm is that way. It is chaotic. It is unknown. It changes moment to moment. So if you are the one holding the space or taking person into that space, the form you are holding needs to be as robust to match the chaos. That's when people say, I really felt held. Viscerally, that's what they're describing. That as wild as my right guard, I completely felt you holding the space, and I knew I was okay. And that's a good compliment for a space holder, for a teacher, shaman, dom, all of us.
True. So true.
That's good.
Totally worth the price, whatever price it was that I paid. Fuck the price. No, really. I mean, some people did say that to me. Why are you doing this? And other people just thought it was awesome, whether they joined us or they didn't join us. So many people have joined us that were interested, that were curious, that were... I mean, the one thing that movie did do was make the whole world curious.
Yeah, I actually credit that movie for that anything that can make this more accessible. I think it is very much the case, like you and I always announce in the beginning of the class, that we really don't have any interest in giving you any desires. We have no interest in adding anything onto your erotic makeup. We have no interest in what your erotic makeup is. Our desire is to give permission to whatever you are to have it come out. And I think even
So
that
true.
book did that to the people.
Yes.
I don't think it gave them desire for DS. I think desire is already there. It made it less taboo. It made it more acceptable to at least talk about it in your hair salons and your nail salons, which you weren't doing the month prior to it becoming famous.
Right. And then
I mean,
They said people went to all the hardware stores in New York.
Yeah, I read that. I think I read it in like the Wall Street Journal or something. I
You know,
like fell off my chair when I read that.
I first heard about this, 50 Shades of Grey came to my attention when I was listening to a Phoenix radio show and called John Jay and Rich. And John Jay, he and his wife, she started reading the book. And he was on air and he was like, she's reading this crazy book, man. And she's like coming to me and going, can we do this? And he was like, what? What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
that's the first time I'd ever heard about it. And what she was asking him to do was like, he was down for it, but he was a little bit
Yeah, I totally
shocked.
listen. I've coached many couples who have conveyed exactly the same story as you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time that wasn't very funny
No,
because
we
the men
had
were actually coming in a very unhappy state. They're like, "What is this? This is not the woman I married. This is not the deal I made.
right.
We came into this thing as certain people, and now you're asking me to do things that are completely out of my zone. What the hell is going on?"
Right.
So I saw men in a lot of actually discomfort and turmoil. Like, what am I supposed to do over here?
Yeah.
So any cute idea people may have that they just became doms in their bedroom, I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. If anything, it creates a lot of friction.
Right. And we once had a couple in one of our courses where the man said the woman wanted him to dominate her, and he said he gave her the amount of pain that she asked for, and then he was questioning his own sanity that he liked doing it.
Right. Which are discoveries you're going to make.
And
If
we
you
had
come to
to,
our class, we can make room for those discoveries. If you do it on your own, you're just going to freak yourself out.
right, we had to console him.
Yeah.
We had to we had to let him know that he was in range. He was okay. He wasn't like flipping out.
He was in range, and if anything, the dom's system often responds to the submissive system. So oftentimes it's because she's getting off that he's getting off.
Right.
Because we are reaction junkies. We are response junkies. If you're in tune with someone, you feel what they feel. If they're getting off on it, you're going to feel their turn on, and it's very confusing to think, am I getting off on this? Or am I perceiving their get off? And it's a little bit of both, but that's what makes it interesting.
Totally.
Well, when I say the feminine informs the masculine,
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
I understand.
When you get off, when I see you having
Yeah.
your experience, that really does feed me. It's nourishing. It's not a take. It's really that space of like, wow, it's nourishing.
I think it was a big question for you when I first came home from our trip to Australia. And when I first came home from that and I told you about it, I feel like you didn't quite trust. You were afraid that you could inflict pain on me and that it would really hurt me. I feel like it took you a little. There was an adjustment period of time where you were like, really?
Yeah, that you wanted that.
Yeah, you were like.
I mean, you're Laurie Handlers. You know that, right? But I have to get over that, and I don't want to hurt this, goddess of a woman here.
Yeah,
And-
listen, I totally hear you, but I gotta say, you gotta cut that shit out after a while.
Oh yeah, well, I did.
Because women as powerful as her are starving for having those desires met because everybody wants to treat them like a goddess. And it's not like she doesn't want to be treated like a goddess, but to treat her like a goddess and say, well, those desires are incompatible with a goddess, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
You know what
Right.
I mean, that's
That's
kind of
right.
crappy. And we do that often to women. We often do that to powerful women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're still supposed to maintain some modicum of a propriety in their eros, even though in the world they give other people permission to be bigger. So, and oftentimes the places they want to go, they are not the powerhouses. They want to go into their little girl. They don't want to be the diva in their scenes, actually. They are divas in life. They don't want, they
That
don't
is
have
so
fantasies.
true. I'm ringing a million times.
Diva in my scene.
Yes.
Right? The insecure girl who has never had any attention will say, give me a scene and treat me like a diva. The divas are like, I want to come off stage, turn off the lights. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I want to
Right.
go inside and inwards. And oftentimes it's almost like, yeah, people don't let them get out of character or something.
That's so good what you just said. I made a lot of dings for that, and it's really it's true.
Yeah.
It is true because
It's
Laurie, both you and I have been around for a little while doing all this work, and we have talked to a lot of people, including many prominent people, men and women, and we hear their stories, and that's the common story.
yeah. Give me a relaxation from
Yeah.
who I am in the world. I want to be, you know,
Right. I
I
mean,
want to crawl
if you
around
want
for
to
a
have
while.
a generic move when handling a really powerful woman, take her into her little girl.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of worshiping her like a goddess, hold the energy that she can go into her little girl.
Yeah, because there's a reason we became so powerful. I literally could never be the little girl. By the time I was 4 years old, I could hang
Yeah.
around. I could smoke a cigar in a boardroom.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
by the time I was 4, I could just, I could have been 90. You know, recently I was bitching to one of my dear friends, Johnny, who you also know really well. And I was saying, we were bitching about diversity and, being like the only black person who's entering a faculty. And I said, look, I'm the oldest person. And if anyone tells me, how wise I am, like, go fuck yourself. I was wise when I was 4 years old. I'm not wise because I'm 73. Like, that's ridiculous. I didn't just become wise. I've been wise. I had to be to survive. So when my little girl has the freedom to come out and feel safe amongst dominant personalities who hold the space for me, which him, you, and the men that I teach with in ISTA, they all permitted that to come out. Like, I felt so much more space to be.
Right. I hear you.
Just
For the longest time, I used to say I believe there's a goddess in every woman. And I still believe that to this day. I
Right, of
believe that every
course.
woman has the capacity for goddess. But since I've met you, and in the last, I guess, couple years, I've added an addendum to that, which is I believe there's a goddess in every woman, and in every goddess there is a slut.
Okay.
yeah, and in every goddess also there's a little girl.
And there's a little girl, and there's all the other caricatures.
You can't like keep her in one place. No
Right.
one wants to be
Yeah.
kept in one place.
Yeah.
He doesn't always even want to be kept in one place. Sometimes he just wants to be like relaxed. That's why we drink so much wine. When you and I are together, we are not a role. You are not a role. I am not a role. We are just like two people laughing our asses off at everything. So
I love it.
all right, what else did people bring up when we were talking to them before about kink?
Well, the questions, and by the way, if you have any questions, we're live today, and you have Rupani on along with Laurie and Michael. So please ask some questions. I mean, you got us live here. But yeah, some of the questions that we had earlier,
Let's talk about consent.
Consent and consensual non-consent as well.
Yeah, because even we have a couple of people that were on with us right before we got on today, and they're going to watch the replay.
Yeah.
And so I said we would talk about consent because consent is so important.
Consent is the cornerstone of everything we do in this realm. This exploration, this play is nothing more than two grown-ups doing what they love to do, giving each other what they want to give each other. There's really nothing else going on here, right? A lot of people approach this exploration or this area from a political perspective, and they get all charged up. There is no politics on the inside. There is play, there is get off, there is exploration, there is actually being genuinely curious about who your partner is and wanting different parts of them to come out. There's genuinely being curious about yourself and wanting to see what wants to come out. There isn't any, so it's just two people playing. Two people playing in consent, two people only giving each other what they want. There isn't really any room for non-consent. If you are doing non-consent, you're not doing what we practice and teach. Right? So it's like, it is absolutely the foundation. And it's like, it's pretty much the very structure of what we do is consenting people, giving each other what they want and get off on. Like there isn't like any moving from non-consent to consent. Consent is all that is when you're doing this thing.
Yes.
Things
Even
only go wrong when you feel yourself falling out of consent and you don't speak up. Right? Most of the times when things go off, it's a consent miscommunication. It's a consent accident. It's a consent, I didn't hear you right. I didn't understand you right. Or you should have spoken up in that moment, but you didn't. Right? No, and if someone is actively trying to violate your consent, you need to leave the room and leave the person, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So the work we do, it's not actually about going from non-consent to consent. Consent is the foundation on which you do all this stuff. And we build the communication and staying awake, making sure you're not zoning out so that you can stay in consent every moment. So that if something is happening that you don't want to happen, you speak up. And by that, doing that, you stay in consent compared to going out of consent in your head, not saying anything and having things continue, which happens with people who tend to freeze, or people who are simply unclear on how this thing works, or people who think that if they express their limitations or boundaries, someone's going to disapprove of them, so they better not. So those are all the glitches in consent, but the foundation is consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's play. Ultimately, it's play. There's a reason we call it a scene. A scene is made up. BDSM is made up. It's invented. It's theater. It's no more real than a scene on a stage. And it has that dual quality. A good scene will pull you in because it feels real. And some part of your brain knows I'm watching two people acting on a stage under lights. That's what BDSM is. Everything is made up. And it feels real because it is real, because it's masterful at being real. It knows how to pull your attention and to give you a real human ride. Just as great theater, when it's done well, will pull all your feelings and emotions and histories, and you will see yourself up there, right? To the point where it's excruciating to watch.
I can't believe
I
I'm
remember,
doing this. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can recall some of the most, I think Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf probably takes the prize. Sitting there watching Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, like, I want to kill myself right now.
Right.
Why? Because you see yourself in their pain, because this is what men and women do to each other.
Totally.
Torture each other. They're bonded together. They won't leave. They can't leave. They're bonded by their trauma, their loss, and they hurt each other and they love each other and they hate each other. And you're like, oh God, we are fucked up. But only because you see yourself in it.
Yes.
And you know none of it is real. Part of you is like, my God, these actors are good. How do they do this 8 times? Right? Like I think Tracy Letts, who's a brilliant Pulitzer Prize winning playwright as well as an actor, TV and stage actor. He was the lead in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I know the actor by face. I know that's Tracy Letts. Doesn't make it any less real, right? Anyways, I think BDSM is that way. It knows how to get under our skin, and yet it is theater. You have the choice to get up at any point from your seat and walk out that theater. No one's going to stop you.
No.
They may stop you from coming back in. They won't stop you from leaving.
Right.
Right.
Right? It's only etiquette. as far as that goes.
Yeah, especially if you
You
throw
can
your
stop a scene
popcorn.
at any point. You can call red at any point. You can exit the scene.
That's right.
If you throw your popcorn.
Yeah, especially if you throw your popcorn. You know, the theater's not letting you back
I
in.
hear you.
Fuck this movie, you know, and throw your popcorn.
Okay.
No, if you do that in a scene, it gets even hotter.
Well,
have
yeah,
to,
and
you have to go. If you say I'm throwing my popcorn, like fuck this scene. No, you have to call red.
truth
If
be
you
known,
wanna stop.
truth be known, I want to have a scene. I want to have a scene where I get to throw popcorn on you.
You do?
I just made it known.
Okay, great.
The
There
whole
we
world
go.
heard it here.
The world heard it. We're gonna have a popcorn scene.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Whatever works for you.
I'm gonna go get some popcorn.
No, what are you doing? You're fixing a light. I think he's fixing a light. Anyway, let's see. See if does anyone have any questions? Anybody who's still, I know people are still with us. Some of them are sitting like their mouths are open because a few of them haven't heard you before. And they didn't, I mean, you should have expected like the best. And so here we are, we're having the best conversation. So see if there's a question that you have. We don't have too many minutes left, but if there's a question that you have while we're here with Om, please put it in the chat. Anyone, even you, Chrissy, you could have a question too. So we say that this has taken our intimate sex life to higher heights. We're products.
Yeah.
We are products of this. We have experimented. We've had so much fun. And
It's both deepened our knowledge of each other and of ourselves, which I think that exploring piece is really important, and the chaos piece, and how fast this ride can go. Like what you're talking about, the nervous system being just moving so rapidly through all the different levels and layers of emotion, of sensation, and all the rest. It's really mind blowing. And so, you know, we're here talking about kink today, but what we want to do is encourage you to get onto that exploration, whatever that looks like.
do you know, I think that it's made you more powerful. And I think that it's made me more powerful.
Oh yeah.
Like learning to surrender into my pleasure is always going to make me more powerful as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And learning to surrender to a person that I could trust. I mean, I could hardly ever do that before. So it makes you more powerful in that, you know, you have a trust.
Yeah.
Om and I like to say that the person being the Dom has 200% accountability / responsibility for the person surrendering. And
Right.
that makes somebody very powerful if they own that.
Yeah, I mean, you're voluntarily taking power. You're doing a power exchange, and if you're going to do that well, you need to bring the responsibility piece along with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's really, but of course, the person surrendering is still 100%
Yeah,
responsible for themselves too. That's why it's crazy to be standing in that doorway going, come on, push me. I'm not
Right.
going. I'm not going.
Yeah.
Like that's like a mind fuck game that isn't.
which some people may enjoy. I personally don't.
Yeah.
And to me, the exhausting part is you spend a lot of energy, but in the end, you didn't go anywhere. And you
Yeah.
do that a bunch of times, and you're like, I don't think this is an interesting game.
Yeah. This stuff doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to wrap up here pretty soon, but I really want everybody
yeah.
to know how to get in touch with you, Om, and how to take part in your offerings. And so, you know, how do
Right.
people get in touch with you?
Everything is on my website, omrupani.org. We actually have a class starting this weekend, tomorrow,
Mm.
for women who are interested in exploring devotion and eros and their submissive archetype. And next Sunday, I have my Creating the Dominant Man starting. Both are 12-week classes, and we go really deep. I've really taken the time to develop this curriculum. So if you're interested in going deeper, those are two big opportunities for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank
Very
you so
great. Very,
Yeah.
very great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Now, the other thing you can do is you can also find Om on Facebook. Do you still do the directed scenes?
I've done directed scenes kind of within my classes on Zoom inside of my classes to do group scenes.
Mm.
And it's been actually more interesting and more successful than I would have thought possible. So I'm actually considering maybe starting something. There's a desire in the community that I held before because people are still quarantining. What can you do? People can't get together. So there is like, necessity is the mother of invention. We're like, okay, so what can we do to stay in touch with each other and to have fun and get that nourishment, because people are kind of depleted in this area right now.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
Right.
Yeah. So reach out to omrupani.org. Also, you can find Om on Facebook and I believe on Instagram and all the social media places.
On Instagram, he's on Rupani Workshops.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually know nothing about Instagram. I've been fortunate enough recently to have a virtual assistant who's good at that stuff. So
Yeah.
she does the posting for the workshop. I don't think I know how to do anything on Instagram.
She's very good.
But I do
I
post on
always like it.
Facebook. I do post my
Good.
essays and things on Facebook.
Yeah.
My
And
code on
and
Facebook.
you're also a prolific writer. And
Yeah, I love to write. Yeah, and
your writings are amazing, and sometimes they are just awe-inspiring and personally challenging, and other times they're like, take a breath.
well, our teachings, the class that Laurie and I teach, are kind of come out of that writing and that mindset. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
we want to deliver. We want to move your system.
we do. So we're going to have a powwow. We're going to do a little brainstorm after this. We want to let people know that. David L. Goliath is very excited that you're going to be doing directed scenes again.
Yeah,
One of the
I really
people
want-
who's
yeah,
on with us. Yeah.
yeah.
So everybody, we want to thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for we want to thank you
Yeah.
for being in our life altogether. I mean, like, what a
The
gift.
gratitude and the love is mutual, Laurie.
Yeah, I know.
I count
so
you
good.
as one of my handful of mentors who have shaped me and moved me forward. So
Thank you.
yeah,
My pleasure. Really, my pleasure.
She has disrupted your life too, huh?
yes, very much. I voluntarily asked for. I went back for more, paid money for it. So
That's a wise man right
yeah,
there.
disrupt my life some more. Screw me up. Not cooked yet.
So good. Anyway, and we thank everybody for joining us today. Those of you who subscribe to our program, Extraordinary Lovers TV, thank you so much for that today. And anybody, if you happen to be in a couple and you don't have anything to do Valentine's Day weekend, we are offering Extraordinary Lovers Experience starting tomorrow morning, depending upon what coast you're on and where you are. But you have to participate with another. You don't have to be in the same room. We can put you in breakout rooms and you could connect there, but you do need someone to do the exercises with. So if you want to know about that, you should go to online.extraordinarylovers.com.
There you go.
Glad you liked it, Chris. We love you too.
Loved having you here.
Totally
Everybody say
love
goodbye
you.
to Om.
Yeah, we love you.
Send your love. We love
and
you,
we love
Om.
you all.
Hopefully we'll meet in person soon. Wishing, hoping, looking
Yes.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
one of the
Take care of
first places.
yourselves. I know the times are crazy. Everybody is going through stuff. So
I know.
much love to all of you.
One of the first places we'll come to is Florida, Chris. Rest assured.
Mm,
Okay.
indeed. All right, everybody. We love you.
Teresa, bye. We love you. You hold Europe for us. We're trying to come to Germany. It could be that's where we see you in August.
Careza says, love you, Om.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See you next week. Same time.